All right, hello everyone. Eric Marks here again, findingmiddleearth.com, and today we're going to do another quick look at the Fujifilm X-T2 firmware update that they just did on March 30th. And this is probably one of the most welcomed features for me. I'm really excited about the bracketing feature. So let's go ahead and get right into it. So before, you were limited in the drive setting mode where you could only do bracketing at 3 frames in 2 stops apart. Well now, if you go into bracket settings, they have the same old setting here where you can choose what kind of bracketing you want. I want auto exposure bracketing for HDR digital blending, and here's where the magic happens. AE bracketing tab. Enter this, and we have 3 options here. So first one is the frame step setting. This is where you can get 9 frames of bracketing. That is just ridiculous. Or 7, or 5, or 3. That's just going to help so much to increase the dynamic range in each scene without having to manually do it. So anyway, so here's 9 frames. You can see here on the little light meter scale what the exposures are going to look like, and you can choose the steps of exposure for in between each frame. So you can start all the way down at 1/3 of a stop, or 1 stop, everything in between, 3rd stops all the way to 3 stops. So yeah, 9 frames, 3 stops apart. You can do 7 frames, 5 frames, or 3 frames, and just tweak it however you want. That is awesome. Now I have no specific reason to go back to my Nikon D810 for bracketing, right? Because before, for very insane lighting situations, sometimes while I've been out with my X-T2, I've kind of wished that I had my Nikon for the 9 frame HDR so that I could get an insane amount of dynamic range in the scene. Well, now I can. And the best part about it is you can go here and choose continuous or frame. So I always have mine on continuous now. And what that means is it's basically the second you hold down the shutter button or a shutter release cable, it will take all 9 shots or 7 shots, however many you tell it to. It'll take them all in a sequence. So that way you don't have to physically press the button 9 times, right, for it to take each shot. If you have it on frame, you have to do that. You have to manually press the shutter button 9 separate times. So I'm just going to leave mine on continuous, and then here is where the real magic happens. Not that it's, it didn't really stop me before, but sequence setting. This basically is going to give you the sequence that each exposure is going to be taken. So by default, Fuji, before this firmware upgrade, Fuji shot the correct exposure first, and then the overexposed, and then the underexposed. Now this was really hard for me to get used to when I was looking at my mass Lightroom library, because I'm a Nikon D810 shooter, and on my Nikon, the default sequence is correct exposure, underexposure, and overexposure. And so that's just what I've always been so used to looking at, and that's how my mind kind of recognizes sets of HDR. I always know that when I see the overexposed one, that's the end of a sequence. So now, thank God, I can change it to correct exposure, minus exposure, and overexposure. Boom. I'm going to leave that there for good. So that is how I'm setting up my bracketing. Continuous, 0, minus, positive, and then over here, that's going to change based on the scene. But I love the fact that I can go to 9 frames if I want to do that. So yeah, that is your new AE bracketing settings here with the Fuji X-T2 and the new firmware upgrades. Thank you so much, Fujifilm, for giving us this. It is a very welcomed feature, and I can't wait to start using it in the field. If you guys have any other questions, of course, let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. If you would like to stay up to date on all of my latest photography videos and adventures, click the big subscribe button below. And if you would like to find out more about me and how to become a great photographer, visit my website at findingmiddleearth.com.